the 49ers embarking on this 7-game death march, and it begins on Sunday night against the Rams. I can't recall a team facing that many contenders, that many great teams in a row without a break. They have a bye, but they don't get a cupcake along the way. It is great team after great team, starting with the Rams. We'll do fill in the blank now from the Rams-49ers game Sunday night on NBC. Blank is currently the most concerning issue for the 49ers. What do you say?
Defensive health. It's tempting to say Jimmy Garoppolo, and I almost would say Jimmy Garoppolo. But to me, the pass rush isn't the same, obviously, without Bosa. Coverage isn't the same, obviously, without Richard Sherman. And when I look at what's coming down the road, Mike, and I don't see Richard Sherman in great health, and I see even bit players, or lesser players, I should say, like Solomon Thomas gone, role players. We're in week 5 of the season, and it almost feels like injury-wise on defense for the 49ers. It feels like it's week 15, and you're limping toward the finish.
I agree with you that the health is a major issue, although let me add this. There was an item on the NBC Sports Bay Area website. I wrote something about it before the show today. Jennifer Lee Chan is the author on it. George Kittle pointing out yesterday that he actually called Joe Staley, who's now retired, for advice on what the hell to do because the leadership isn't there like it was. Staley's not there. Right. Sherman's not there. And I think Kittle is embracing the fact that he's got to kind of be a jerk, and he's got to get in people's faces and tell them that better performance is demanded of them, even if they are replacing someone who's injured. Early on, I thought this was going to be like the Patriots, where it's next man up, there's no excuses, and they demand and get the same level of performance from the replacement that they had from the injured starter. That's not happening. And I feel like Kittle, and I credit him for talking about it and doing it. Kittle looks like he's inching toward being the guy who's going to be the one who demands that these replacements play better than they have, because that's one of the big reasons they're 2-3. And that 2-3 is going to get out of control quickly, Peter, as these next 7 games unfold if they don't start winning some games soon. Arizona and Dallas get together Monday night. Under Andy Dalton, the Cowboys offense will what, Peter?
Continue to be good enough to win, but it may not matter. I mean, look, Jerry Jones spent this money in the offseason on Andy Dalton. And when he did, I remember saying, look, Dak Prescott's been an Iron Man mostly, but getting a good backup quarterback is great because you just never know. And so, to me, I look at Andy Dalton right now, and I say, Andy Dalton's going to continue to put up 28, 33 points a game. He's got a great supporting cast. He doesn't have a great offensive line, but he's got a great supporting cast otherwise. So I look at this and I say, it is all dependent on a defense that is playing at a historically bad level, averaging 36 points a game given up. The 2 games that they've won, as Ed Werder said earlier in our bumper mic, they've won on field goals at the buzzer, basically, and had to score 40 and 37 points to do it. So to me, I kind of look at the Dallas Cowboys and say, I mean, obviously, you're glad that Andy Dalton is there. He's going to be good enough. It may not matter, though, in saving the Cowboys season if they keep giving up 36 points a game.
I agree with everything that you said. Let me reiterate a point that I made earlier this week, though. Having Dak out for the year reduces the expectations, maybe enough that the Cowboys can breathe a little bit. And I don't think they're going to be dramatically worse without Dak because, again, the offense isn't the major problem. It's the defense. But maybe that just overwhelming urgency that ramps up every year. We all know Jerry Jones wants to be able to say, we won a Super Bowl with the team that I built, not a team someone else built. It's my team. And every year there's a greater sense of urgency because he knows there's only so many years left that he can try. And I just feel like they load the cannon. They create the expectation. He's so available. to the media, not as much this year as in past years, but he still does that twice a week on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. Stephen Jones is on there multiple times a week, and it's just always there. And I think now that some of the air has been taken out of the balloon, maybe some of these guys can just play football and not have that overwhelming sense of we must win and we must win right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it, Mike, and you would hope that is going to be something that helps them. But I'll tell you this, you've got a really explosive offense coming to Dallas for this game. You got Kyler Murray, who for some reason this week, Mike, seems to be a little bit motivated, like Baker Mayfield was, about coming home to Texas. And Kyler Murray now could be the first guy to win as a high school player in Jerry World, as a college player in Jerry World, and then as a pro player in Jerry World. I realize that everybody around the country and in Great Britain or whoever is watching us is saying, who really cares? Well, people who play high school football in Texas, they care. They care a lot. And so I think it motivates Kyler Murray. It motivates Cliff Kingsbury to go into Dallas and to try to win a game. So they are going to get an explosive offense. And look, the accomplishment of this week, in my opinion, will be if the Cowboys can hold Arizona under 30 points. And I know that sounds absurd, but to me, that would be a tremendous accomplishment. To hold DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, hasn't had a great year so far, and Kyler Murray under 30 would be a great accomplishment. And in my opinion, that would be a winning formula for Dallas.
My biggest regret in picking games this year was not accounting for that Texas angle when the Browns, who will only play there once every 8 years, bring Myles Garrett back to where he grew up. Baker Mayfield's back. Odell Beckham Jr. back against the Cowboys again after those battles when he was with the Giants. And I wish I would have put more stock in that, because that clearly, and Stefanski told me after the game, that
it means something.
Was a factor. They stepped up in that moment. And I think the Cardinals are going to do the same, because Kyler Murray is going to tell them we're all going to go out there and show what we can do on this stage in Texas. All right, the Bears and the Panthers. The Bears, 4-1, road underdogs against the Panthers, who are supposed to be bad this year, but they're 3-2. The Panthers' offense is clicking without Christian McCaffrey. That can be attributed to what, Peter?
The ability of Matt Rule to convince players who are not great players that we have a standard here, and if you play in this game, it's up to you to meet that standard. Classic case. They have lost so many top players, basically, and I'm not just talking about Christian McCaffrey in week 2. I'm talking about, Teddy Bridgewater has to play to the kind of classic standard of Cam Newton. Shaq Thompson has to take that mantle, from, even though he's a different player and a different style of player from Luke Kuechly, he's got to become the leader, on that defense. And so I kind of look at what has been inculcated in the players on this team in the first training camp and in the first month of this season and say that Matt Rule is working the same, and I don't want to call it magic, the same ethos on the Carolina Panthers early on as he worked at Baylor when they were coming back from an impossible situation, at Temple when Temple never won games. And he accomplished it in both places, and he's accomplishing it right now in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sooner than anyone ever would have expected. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is one of the big reasons why they are getting it done without McCaffrey. All right, real quickly. Bengals, Colts, if it happens. Phillip Rivers' job security is what?
1 week away from being tenuous. One of the reasons is that Frank Reich really, really likes Jacoby Brissett and would not have a fear of making this move. But he also brought Phillip Rivers in, and they paid him $25 million I think they're going to be a little bit slow with the hook, Mike.
Hard to admit the mistake when you've made that investment. The Jets and the Dolphins getting together. The Dolphins are favored to win for the first time in the Brian Flores tenure at 9.5 points. Assuming that they win, a 3-3 Dolphins team is what?
A threat to win the division. I picked them to win the division before the season, and I didn't know exactly why, because I couldn't point to any single thing other than I saw a vastly undermanned Miami Dolphins team at the end of the season have a winning record after Halloween, and I don't know how they did it. And I look at the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to beat the Jets, and they're going to be 3-3, and they could be within one game of first place on Monday night. They are a legitimate threat to win the division.
I'll say that a 3-3 Dolphins team is squandering the opportunity to get Tua Tagovailoa ready for 2021. They're going to regret him not playing this year when they get to next year and he's thrown into the fray, although the Chiefs didn't when they put Patrick Mahomes on the field in 2018 after sitting out most of 2017.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.